My beloved child, there are moments when I allow you to walk in darkness, not to punish you, but to open the eyes of your soul, so that you may clearly see where the true light is. Have you ever asked yourself, why? In the middle of all your prayers, there are times when only silence seems to remain, why I do not answer. Even when you have cried out until your soul feels worn and exhausted, yet it is precisely in that silence, in the very moment you think I have turned my back on you, that I am opening the eyes of your soul so that you may see yourself, not with the eyes of the flesh, but in the light of grace. Whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Revelation 2:7. My child, listen carefully in the midst of the crisis, because what I want you to see is not first a solution, but yourself, your true soul, which is in need of awakening. When I open the eyes of your soul, the first thing you recognize is not light, but the darkness that has been sleeping deep within you. The fears, the complaints, the hidden wounds you have buried inside now rise to the surface like cracks in your heart. You think this is punishment, but it is not, it is healing. Only when you can see the wound can I touch it with my merciful hand. None of your tears are forgotten by me. None of your prayers disappear into emptiness. Every silent sob, every moment of despair, I gather like drops of morning dew, and on the day I choose, those drops of dew will become a shower of renewal. My child, when you weep, I am still there not to stop your tears, but to turn them into witnesses of your faith, for I have never forgotten. Even when you no longer remember what you once begged me for, I am quietly gathering every fragment within you, weaving them together into the tapestry of healing. You are often weary, and you do not understand why. You think it is your nature to be weak, disappointed, powerless, but I tell you this, no. You are only wearing the mask the world has forced onto your soul for far too long. You have grown so used to being strong that you have forgotten how it truly feels to be a beloved child. But I see everything. I do not look at the image you try so hard to uphold before others. I look at the trembling heart behind that brave exterior. When I open the eyes of your soul, you will see clearly that exhaustion is not who you are. It is only dust covering the image I created. I am calling you home back to your true, original soul, where the peace and simple joy I placed in you from the very beginning still remain. My child, true faith is not found in how long you can stand on your own, but in your courage to kneel so that I may lift you up. Transformation does not come in calm and comfort. It often arrives wrapped in the pain of separation. I know you are afraid of loss, afraid of letting go, afraid of starting again. But my child, you cannot step through a new door if you cling tightly to the old key. I cannot place in your hands what I have prepared for you if you keep holding on to what no longer belongs to you. There are relationships, habits, even silent, self-imposed limits that you think are helping you survive. But in truth, they are slowly suffocating your soul. When I open your eyes, you will see not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Sometimes it is the way I return your freedom to you. And when you become lighter, you will find there is finally space in your heart for the light. True change does not come when you feel strong enough. It comes when you are resolute enough. As I have said, whoever wants to follow me must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. Matthew 1:6-4. That is not a burden, but an invitation for your soul to enter into true freedom. When I open the eyes of your soul, all falsehood begins to fall away, and all superficial glitter fades. You will see yourself laid bare in my light. But do not be afraid, for I do not come to shame you. I come so that you may know I still believe in the most beautiful part of you, the part untouched by sin. And from that very place, The journey of healing begins not with outward miracles, but with the small flame I am kindling deep within your soul. My child, there are long nights when you lie in the dark, breathing out sobs that never quite become words. You think I do not hear. You think I have left you alone in a desert of loneliness where faith dries and cracks like thirsty ground. But I say to you, I have counted every tear you have shed, and I keep them in my bottle. Psalm 5:6-9. Not a single sigh of yours is forgotten. Not a single moment of weakness do I despise. Every tear, every unspoken prayer is held in my heart like a precious pearl in the night. I know there are days when all you can do is stare at the ceiling and wish morning would come more quickly. You cannot even bring yourself to pray. You are simply silent. But my child, I still hear you. I do not listen with human ears, but with the heart of the one who created you. I hear the sobs that never quite leave your chest, the words you long to say but fear will make you look weak. I know even the things you dare not admit, the shame, the moments when you doubt even me. Yet I do not rebuke you, because I know that true faith is not always a shout of joy. Sometimes it is only a trembling breath in the dark, whispering, Lord, I'm still here, my dear one. Your tears are never useless. They cleanse your soul. They are a baptism in silence. Many times you think you are collapsing, but in that very moment I am lowering you down in order to raise your soul up. You think your tears are proof of your weakness, but in my eyes they are marks of maturity and faith. For only a soul that has learned to weep honestly can learn to love deeply. When you see your own tears, remember this: I am seeing the whole path ahead of you that you cannot yet see. I know what I am doing. Even when you do not understand, you may feel like a speck of dust forgotten in the wind. But in my hands, no speck of dust drifts without meaning. Every tear you shed has its place in the plan I have formed. And in my time, those very tears will blossom into peace. My child, remember, my silence is never absence. Often, when I do not speak, it is not because I do not hear, but because I am at work. I am gathering every broken piece of your soul so that when the time comes, I may give you back to yourself whole and brighter than before. There was a time when you asked me through your tears, why do you allow me to suffer? And I answered, because only through pain do you realize your soul is still alive. Pain makes you think you are breaking, but in truth, it is opening another door, allowing you to step into the realm of truth, where you no longer see me only through sermons or rituals, but through your own lived experience. Look back at the times you thought you had lost everything. You will see that those were the very moments I was holding you most closely. When you thought I was silent, I was speaking in another way. When you felt utterly alone, I was walking beside you, though you did not recognize me. Each time you collapsed, I laid my hand on your shoulder, so gently that you mistook it for a passing breeze. My child, tears are never the end. They are the beginning of renewal. I have seen so many souls that seemed utterly shattered, yet from their ashes they rediscovered the light. No one truly comes to me while their heart is still full of pride. Tears are what wear away that pride, so that you may return to me like a little child, ready to be gathered into my arms. Let me tell you a story. There was a widow in Scripture who came to the temple day after day to pray. She had nothing left, only her calloused hands and a sorrowful heart. People looked at her with pity, but I saw something else. I saw in each of her tears a faith that could not be shaken, and from those tears I granted her a peace greater than any earthly wealth. So, my child, do not fear the moments when you have nothing to offer but your tears, for in those moments, you are offering the truest part of yourself. My child, I too have wept. When I took on human form, I wept at Lazarus's tomb. And I wept over Jerusalem because they did not recognize the love I had for them. Tears did not make me weaker, they made my love complete. So when you weep, you are becoming more like me than ever before. I want you to remember this. I do not need you to be strong all the time. I only need you to be sincere. If you are tired, you may weep. If you are weak, you may sit down and rest. But never think that I have gone far from you. Every tear you shed falls into my heart. Every sleepless night, I am keeping watch. Every empty place in your heart, I see it all. You think that only in joy are you close to me. But no. Sometimes in suffering your soul is closest to me. In those moments, there is nothing left to hide behind. Nothing left to cling to, only you and me. And in that very moment, I can finally do what I have long desired, touch your soul and whisper, I am still here. Do not be afraid. Some people think that tears are a sign of failure. But I say to you, tears are prayer in its purest form. When you no longer know what to say, your tears speak for you. When your words fall short, they become the voice of your soul. And I understand that language better than any words. My child, do not wipe away your tears too quickly. Let them fall, for each tear is an act of surrender. When you weep in my hands, you are handing over every burden to the one who can turn them into miracles. No tear shed in faith is ever wasted. I do not only wipe away your tears, I turn them into light to guide others who are lost. You will see that with every fall. You become gentler, deeper, more capable of love. That is the sign that I am at work within you. Pain does not destroy your soul. It refines you like gold in the fire. My child, let me do my part. You need only to trust and remain in me. One day, when you look back, you will understand every tear that ever fell has led you here to the place of peace I prepared for you. No tear is ever forgotten. No night lasts forever. And no soul that weeps while still turning toward me will ever cry in vain. Each tear you shed is a seed of faith. When the time comes, it will sprout into peace, and you will know that I have never left you. I have been working miracles in silence all along. My child, in those days when you no longer cry, when the tears have dried upon your cheeks, yet your soul still smolders with a nameless weariness, that is, when I know you are wandering in another kind of darkness. It is no longer sorrow, but emptiness. You live, but you do not feel alive. You act, but you no longer know why. You breathe, but each breath is as heavy as the late afternoon wind, resting on the shoulders of someone who has lost their faith. You think that weariness is your nature. You believe you were born weak, born quick to fall, never good enough to rejoice fully in a single day. But I tell you, this weariness is not your nature. It is the echo of a soul that has forgotten its first spring of living water. You were not born merely to exist among bills, responsibilities, forced laughter, and nameless roles. I created you in the breath of life, not under the weight of the world. When I look at you, I do not see a soul burned out. I see, my child, covered with the dust of worry, crushed beneath all the things you think must be. The more you strain to be strong, the further you drift from me. The more you struggle to prove yourself, the more your soul closes in on itself. For you have forgotten that I did not call you to succeed. I called you to be loved. I have said, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 1:1-8. But my child, you come to me with hands full of work, with a mind full of plans, with a soul full of noise. How can you hear my gentle voice calling you in the midst of that chaos? You do not need to do more to be loved by me. You only need to stop. Sometimes, stopping is the bravest act of a soul searching for the way home. There is something you must remember. Weariness is not an enemy. It is a signal. It tells you that you have strayed from the starting place where you and I once spoke together in stillness, where you once knew what it was to be at peace simply because you were alive. When you are tired, do not merely try to push through. Listen to where that weariness is pointing. Perhaps it is not urging you to do more, but pleading with you to return to me. I look at you and see your eyes lost in a noisy world where no one truly hears anyone. You hurry because you fear being left behind. You smile because you fear others will doubt you. You pretend to be fine because you fear seeming weak. But my child, I did not create you to live inside that shell. You may lose many things, but do not lose yourself. Deep within your soul, a small flame is still burning. That is the breath I blew into you from the very beginning. It has never gone out. It is only buried under the ashes of worry and fear. I do not want you to try to be strong. I want you to be honest. Tell me truly that you are tired. Tell me truly that you are afraid. Tell me truly that you do not know where to go next. You do not need to hide anything from me, because I have been there in every place you tried to conceal, everything you are ashamed of. I knew before you could even give it a name. When you admit that you are tired, that is not weakness, it is the door through which grace enters. For only in honest weariness can I reach the part of you that no longer defends itself. I am not looking for perfect souls. I am looking for true ones. And when you are true, you are free. I see you sitting in an empty room, gazing out a small window where the morning light pours in, yet does not feel warm enough. You think your life has gone wrong somewhere. But my child, it is not that you are wrong. You have simply forgotten. You forgot that I called you by name, and I called you in love, not in burden. You forgot that you do not have to be worthy in order to be loved. You have always been loved, even in the moments when you could no longer believe in yourself. When I open the eyes of your soul, you will see this. Your exhaustion does not come from doing too much, but from doing without remembering for whom. You do things to be accepted, to avoid rejection, to protect an image the world might admire. But you forget me, the one who loved you when you had done nothing at all. That is the root of all your deep fatigue. My child, when your soul is weary, do not run to the noise. Run to the silence. In silence, you will hear my voice again, the voice that has been buried under all the years you spent running. I will not come to you in thunder or storm, but as a gentle breeze. Just as I came to Elijah in the mountain cave. You only need to be still long enough to feel it. You cannot be healed by pretending you are not in pain. You cannot find peace by ignoring the cries of your soul. Be brave enough to look at the cracks in your heart, for it is precisely there that I am waiting. When you are weak, I become your strength. When you fall, I am the hand that lifts you up. When you are tired, I am your resting place. You are not your weariness. You are the breath I placed into dust. You are a work shaped by mercy. You are a symphony I long to hear in full, not in the roar of chaos, but in the quiet rhythm of faith. Do not try to simply push past your fatigue. Let it become a prayer. When you exhale under the weight you carry, say, Lord, I do not have the strength, but I know you are here. And with just that one confession, I will do the rest. Then you will see that weariness is no longer a sign of failure, but my invitation. Sit down. My child, you have walked too far and forgotten that I have been beside you all along. I will draw you close. Lift each burden from your shoulders and whisper, you are not your own burden, you are my joy. Weariness does not define you, it is only the dust that dulls my image in you. Let me wipe it away. Stop straining just to exist, and begin to live in the breath of grace. You do not need to become someone else, you only need to come back to yourself. For with me, you are always welcomed with open arms, not to be judged, but to be loved. and for your soul to find true rest. There are mornings when the wind has only just brushed the window and the sun has barely risen, and I see you sitting there in silence, your gaze empty and drifting. You no longer cry. You no longer pray. You simply sit like a soul that has given up on hope. Inside you, a faint thought murmurs, I will change. But not yet. When I am stronger, when I am less afraid, when my situation is better, and so, day after day passes, while life slips quietly through your fingers like sand. My child, transformation does not come when you wait to be strong enough. It comes when you dare to let go of what no longer belongs to you. True strength does not lie in how tightly you can hold on, but in the courage to release. You do not need to become extraordinary to be transformed, for it is in weakness that I plant the seeds of my power. Do you not see? A seed can only sprout when it is willing to break open. If it insists on remaining the same, it will never grow. I know you are afraid to begin again, afraid to lose what has long been familiar, afraid to face yourself. But my child, I do not lead you out of where you are to make you suffer, but so that you may truly live. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. Matthew 1:6-5. Change always demands a sacrifice, and no sacrifice comes without trembling. Yet in that trembling, I am teaching you how to trust. You think you need more time to become stronger, but in truth, you are only searching for reasons to postpone the call within your heart. There will never be a moment called strong enough. Each time you wait until you feel ready, your heart will find yet another excuse to delay. You do not realize that true strength is born in the act of obedience, not in perfect preparation. I do not need you to be perfect to begin. I only need you to take a step. I see you clinging to what has already decayed, relationships that drain your energy, habits you know are wrong yet secretly nurture, limits you whisper to yourself whenever you are afraid. I can't. I'm not ready. My child, I ask you, when will you ever be ready enough? When your soul is even more tired than it is now? When your heart has grown numb from being too accustomed to mediocrity? No. My child, change does not wait for you to be strong. It only waits for you to be truthful. You once asked me for strength, and I have given it. But you did not recognize that strength is not a feeling of safety. It is the ability to move forward in the midst of fear. You keep thinking I will clear away every obstacle before you take a step. But I do not. I let you walk through the storm so that you may see your frail feet can still move. As long as you walk with me, I remember a time when you prayed, Lord, please change me. And I answered, but when I began to remove the things that did not belong to you, you cried out and resisted. You asked, why are you taking this from me? You did not understand that to receive what is new, your hands must first be empty. Just as a vine must be pruned to bear sweet fruit, your soul must be purified in order to blossom. Transformation is not some distant miracle. It begins when you stop blaming circumstances and dare to look within. When you stop saying I can't and start saying I am willing. When you are willing to close the old door, I will open a new horizon. But as long as you cling to what is behind, you will remain standing on the threshold, belonging fully to neither place. I see you clutching fragments of the past like an old coat. It is torn and too small, yet you still refuse to let go because you are afraid of the cold. My child, I myself am the warmth you seek. You do not need to drag your past along to feel safe. Trust me, I will clothe you with a new garment, woven from peace and freedom. There have been nights when I awakened you, not to frighten you, but so your soul could hear the calling that daylight drowns out. You felt the urge to change. Yet when morning came, You buried yourself again in your old routines. Do not deceive yourself by saying you will do it later. Your soul does not belong to later. It lives in the present. Each time you delay, the flame within you grows smaller until it is nothing but ash. I do not want you to live halfway between two worlds, half in the light, half pulled toward the dark. Choose. My child, stand up. Even if you tremble, even if you are weak, but stand. For I will lift you up the moment you begin. True change always starts with a small step, but that step carries heaven within it. You do not need to be strong enough before letting go of a habit, speaking the truth, walking away from what is wrong, or forgiving others and even yourself. You only need to believe that I am still here, ready to walk with you. Because if you wait until you are no longer afraid before you move, you will never go. But if you dare to move while still afraid, you will find me right in the midst of the journey. My child, transformation is not the work of a single day. It is the journey of a lifetime. Every morning you wake and choose to trust. That is part of the change. Every time you stumble yet still call my name, that is part of the change. Do not despise small beginnings, for from a tiny mustard seed I have brought forth a great kingdom. My dear child, I do not want you to wait any longer. Today is the day of grace. Do not dwell on tomorrow. Do not cling to yesterday. Let me rewrite today's page. As long as you open your heart, I will renew your soul from the inside out. You will no longer be as you were, not because you are stronger, but because I am living in you. Change does not come when you feel ready, but when you are willing to obey. It does not come when you are strong enough, but when you accept being weak so that I may become your strength. Every door I close is not an ending, but the beginning of a new path. Walk on, my child. I have waited so long to see you free. There are times when night falls too early and the light within you starts to fade, and I can hear your soul trembling, not from the cold, but from fear. You are afraid to move forward, afraid to trust, afraid to lose, afraid to begin again. You call that fear, prudence. You call it wisdom. But my child, I tell you the truth. Fear is not the voice of wisdom, it is only the echo of the past, clinging to your soul so it cannot move on. You have been hurt before, and from that moment you began to build walls. With every rejection, every wound, every loss, you added another layer of bricks, until you yourself became imprisoned in a fortress of your own making. You call it safety, but in reality it is a prison. For when you live in fear, you can no longer hear my voice. My voice is as gentle as a breeze. How can it slip through walls of thick doubt? I have declared, for God did not give you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of self-discipline. 2 Timothy 1:7. So, when you are afraid, that is not my voice. It is the voice of the world, the voice of old memories, the voice of the enemy whispering into your heart so that you forget your true identity, that you were not created to shrink back, but to walk in freedom. My child, fear has many faces. Sometimes it wears the mask of reason and tells you, just wait a little longer. Sometimes it dresses up as kindness and says, don't upset anyone, just endure it. Sometimes it disguises itself as humility and whispers, you're not good enough to be chosen. Do not be deceived. These are only subtle shadows keeping you from the true light. You are afraid to say what you really think because you fear being mocked. You are afraid to leave because you fear being alone. You are afraid to forgive because you fear being hurt again. But my child, I ask you this: if you always obey fear, how will you ever hear my voice? Fear never leads to peace, because it does not come from me. It makes you see everything through a distorted lens where mercy looks like a risk and faith looks like foolishness. I see you standing at the water's edge, your legs trembling, eyes fixed on the distance, heart beating with anxious rhythm. You long to reach the other shore where freedom, light, and peace await, but you remain where you are, afraid the waves will drown you. You forget that only when you step into the water do I part the sea. The sea does not open before faith. It opens because of faith. I do not tell you to be reckless. I tell you to trust. There is a great difference, my child. Recklessness is when you walk alone. Faith is when you walk with me. Fear always speaks in if you fail, if you get hurt, if you lose, if no one understands you. But I speak to you in when you step out, when you trust, when you surrender. When you let me lead, then the miracle will come. I once saw Peter trembling on the surface of the sea, the wind raging, the waves crashing, and his heart filled with terror. Yet only when his eyes were fixed on me could he walk on the water. When he looked at the wind, he began to sink. Fear is never truly outside, it lives in your gaze. If you look at the storm, you will sink. But if you look at me, you will stand firm, even in the midst of the waves. You often think fear is a way to protect yourself, but in truth, it is the way the soul withdraws from life. You fear being hurt, so you close your heart. You fear failure, so you never begin. You fear loss, so you never love fully. But my child, love that refuses to risk pain is no longer love. A life that only chooses safety is no longer truly living. I do not want you to throw yourself into danger, but I also do not want you to hide forever in rotten corners. Safety is not the same as peace. There are places that are quiet on the outside, yet your soul is slowly dying within them. I did not come so you might live merely safely. I came so you might live truly. My child, there are fears that will not vanish in a single day, but I do not need you to be unafraid for me to love you. I only need you to dare to move, even while afraid. Every small step you take beyond fear is a step closer to my will, and you will see what is truly frightening is not failure, but refusing to believe that I am great enough to turn all things, even the bad, into good. When you are afraid, remember the times I have already saved you from your own storms. Remember the moments you thought everything was over, and yet morning still came. Fear whispers, something terrible is going to happen. But I say I am working all things together for your good. My child, bring your fears to me. Do not run from them. Offer them up. Say, Lord, I am afraid, but I will still move forward, and I will turn your trembling into strength. I will transform your sighs into a new song. No fear can stand against true love. When you realize this, you will understand wisdom does not lie in avoiding everything, but in trusting. Fear makes you shrink back. Faith makes you reach out, and only when you reach out can you touch me. Do not listen to the voice of fear, for it does not speak the language of heaven. It only reminds you of what is old, while I am inviting you into what is new. Do not let fear steal the miracles I am preparing. Every time you choose to trust, the darkness is pushed back a little more. Walk on, my child, even if your hand is still shaking, for I am holding it. And when you dare to step through your fear, you will discover that what you thought was an abyss is, in truth, only a door into freedom. My child, sometimes I smile as I watch you trying so hard to arrange every detail of your life, as if everything must stay within your control. Your plans, your small understanding, You calculate each step. You prepare for every turn. You fear being wrong, fear losing, fear being too late. And when something does not go as you planned, you look up and ask, Lord, why did you not let things happen exactly as I had arranged? But my child, I am the one who works beyond all your calculations. If everything happened exactly as predicted, where would there be room for miracles? You do not realize that there are doors I deliberately close, not to make you suffer, but to protect you from what would wound your soul. You see failure, I see protection. You see loss, I see preparation. You see delay, I am quietly completing my work. As it is written, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways. My ways, Isaiah 5:8. So, my child, if you truly trust me, allow me to work in my way, not merely according to your expectations. You may feel as if you are walking into a dead end, but I see the long road opening just beyond the bend. You see only a wall, I see the gate behind it. You hear only the slam of a closing door, I hear the wind, already carrying news of joy ahead. Do not rush to conclusions when you have not yet seen the whole picture. For I am the one holding the brush. You think that I work miracles only in great, glorious moments, in things so obvious that no one can miss them. But my child, my miracles often wear the shape of what is small and ordinary, so ordinary that you overlook them. A morning when you wake and feel a little more at peace than yesterday, that is a miracle. A smile you manage to give even while tired, that is a miracle. A day when you choose to forgive instead of resent, that too is a miracle. I do not need you to understand everything that is happening. True faith is not found in seeing, but in daring to believe when you see nothing at all. I am working while you sleep, clearing the road while you are still confused. What you think is the end is only a temporary chapter. What you think is random is but a single brushstroke in the great painting I am creating for your soul. My child, I have parted the sea, given sight to the blind, raised the dead, and you think I cannot do the same in your life. You think I only work miracles for those who are more worthy. No, I act for those who dare to believe. As long as you keep even a small lamp of faith burning, however faint, I will breathe my spirit upon it until it burns bright again. Do you know this? Miracles are never out of my reach. It is only that your heart sometimes closes and cannot touch them. I do not force anyone to believe, for love never coerces, but I stand waiting like a father watching for his prodigal child to return. The moment you turn back, even by a single step, I will run to you and gather you into my arms. I have seen you disappointed because I did not answer you right away. You prayed, and I was silent. You waited, and I did not yet act. But my child, I have not forgotten you. I have been doing something better than what you asked for. You pray for the storm to stop, but I want to teach you how to walk on the water. You ask me for light, but I want to make you become the light. You ask to escape your fear, but I want to give you the courage to walk straight through it. The stories you have heard, Abraham being tested, Job losing everything, yet not losing his faith, Mary obeying even when she did not understand. My ways are all testimonies of one truth. I still work in ways that are beyond all human calculations, yet always perfect in my timing. You see delay, I see the fullness of time. You see limitation, I see the opportunity for grace to be revealed in its power. When you look back over your life, you will realize that everything I took away was something you no longer needed, and everything I gave you arrived at the exact moment you were mature enough to receive it. I am never late. Everything I do, even when it is hard to understand, draws you closer to myself. My child, I do not want you to clutch everything with tight fists. Learn to open your hands. When you stop calculating, you will see that my hand has been there all along. When you stop trying to predict, you will notice that what I do is always greater than what you imagined. I do not demand perfection from you. I only ask that you truly believe that even if everything around you falls apart, I remain, and I am more than enough to rebuild it all. Do not measure my work with your own ruler. Do not assume that my silence means indifference. Do not be afraid when I change your path, because sometimes, to reach the promised land, you must first walk through the desert. But my child, every road I lead you along ends in blessing. I am still doing things far beyond all your calculations. Do not try to understand everything. Seek instead to trust. Do not struggle to control. Learn to surrender. For what I am doing is not to impress you, but to help you grow in faith. When you walk by faith and not by sight, you will come to see that miracles are not far away at all. They are happening within your very soul every time you allow me to lead you. My child, do you know this? From the moment you began to feel as if your life was just a chain of failures, from those mornings when you woke with an empty heart to those long nights when there were no tears left to cry right then, a battle was taking place for your soul, and you knew nothing about it. This battle was not in the visible world, not measured by noise or light, yet fiercer than any battlefield you could imagine. While you were busy worrying about each meal, each bill, each relationship, in a deeper realm your soul was being called by name. The forces of darkness thought you would remain trapped in exhaustion, that you would abandon your faith, that you would forget who I am. They laid out plans to make you believe you were only someone struggling to get by, without purpose, without worth. But they were wrong, because when I saw you trembling in the dark, I spoke up, not with thunder or storm, but with a gentle voice that pierced through every layer of fear. My child, rise. Your hour has come. All through that time when you thought you were merely living a dull, ordinary life, I was watching every step you took. I saw you give a weary smile at work. I saw you quietly managing everything in that small room. I saw you saying, "I'm fine," just so no one would ask more questions. But my child, you are not what you have forced yourself to become in order to be accepted. You are not the smiling face hiding layer upon layer of fear. You are not the one who must always pretend to be strong so that no one sees how fragile you feel inside. All those roles are only masks, survival skills you learn to cope in a demanding world. But today, I want to remove those disguises. Today, I want to reintroduce you to your true self, the one I created with the breath of life, with the light of heaven, not with fear or scarcity. My child, the things that once stood against you no longer have power. Every accusation, every judgment, every memory that once caused you to collapse has been wiped away. You may not yet sense this with your physical eyes, but your soul knows it deeply. Do you feel your heart beating differently? Do you sense that the air around you is lighter? That is because invisible chains are being broken. The cords that tied you to sin, to shame, to fear have now been cut by the power of the Most High. When I look at you now, I no longer see a child held down by darkness. I see a soul beginning to stand. Still weak perhaps, but trembling in the first light of freedom. You think those painful years were only waste, that you lived them in vain. But I tell you, not a single tear was thrown away. Not a single pain was without purpose. Every time you collapsed, I took note. Every time you cried out in despair, I heard you. And now, all of that is being transformed. Each failure is being turned into a testimony of faith. Each wound is becoming a mark of strength. Each time you were abandoned is now being used to open wide the well of compassion within you. My child, the world has made you believe that to be accepted you must be flawless. But I have never asked for that. I do not ask you to be strong. I ask you to be real. When you say, "I am ready," It is not a declaration for others to hear, but a signal between you and me. It is like a lamp being lit in the spiritual realm, telling the angels this child has awakened, is now willing to receive something new. From that moment, everything begins to move. Doors that were locked start to open. Waters that were blocked begin to flow. The energy that was trapped in fear is released. You are stepping out of the barren land where you only survived into the promised land where you truly live. I know you do not fully understand what is happening. You simply feel your heart changing, as if someone is rewriting it from within. That is exactly what I am doing. I am rewriting the story of your life. Memories that once made you tremble are being replaced with memories of love. Curses that once clung to you are being replaced with my promises. No one has the right to define you anymore except me. No one can lay a hand on your soul, because I have wrapped it in my own light. Pay attention. You will notice something different in your breathing. The air is not the same. It is no longer as heavy as before. Do you see? That is proof that the sky above you has opened. Prayers that once seemed to rise without reply are now being answered. Not because I have only just begun to listen, but because you are now ready to receive. Blessings never disappear. They simply wait for the soul to awaken enough to welcome them. My child, you still do not fully grasp what I have done for you. When the darkness thought it had won, I spoke into the unseen realm and declared, "Enough." When the world tried to brand you as a failure, I tore up every accusation and said, "This child belongs to me." From that moment on, every power that once held you captive lost its voice. No plan of darkness can succeed over the one I have chosen. I have sent my angels ahead of you to prepare the way. You do not see them, but you will feel their footprints in every unexpected opportunity, in each kind person you meet, in the doors that open without you knowing why. They are working tirelessly. They are loosening unseen bonds around you, clearing the path before you, bringing light to places where there was only darkness. Everything I have promised is being fulfilled not by your strength, but by my power. Do not be afraid if there are days when your heart trembles again, because true change does not come as a gentle breeze. It comes like a storm that cleanses. There will be moments when it seems all the old things are collapsing, and yes, they must collapse so that the new can be built. There will be times when you feel alone, because I am separating you from what no longer belongs in the light. Some people will leave. Some things will be taken away, but do not cling to them in regret. Whenever I take something from you, it is only to give you something greater. My child, remember that nothing happening now is random. There is no coincidence in the plan of God. Every tear you have ever shed is part of the symphony I am composing. Every season of waiting carries meaning, even if you do not understand it. When I am silent, I am crafting something great. When you think I am far away, I am closer than ever. Now, take a deep breath, because that breath is no longer the breath of someone living in fear, but of a soul set free. You have passed through the long night, and dawn is approaching. I have brought you out of the old place where you only shrank back to survive. Now I invite you into a place where you can live truly, where you no longer need to pretend to be strong, no longer need to run from your feelings, where there is only you and me, in a light that never goes out. My child, open your heart. Let me teach you to see yourself through the eyes of heaven. You are no longer someone merely struggling against life. You are one who has been restored. You are no longer a soul drained dry. You are one who has been filled. You are no longer defined by your pain. You are a witness of grace. And from today on, everything I have promised will begin to take shape. No thunder is required. No showy miracles, only a steadfast faith. Because faith itself is the greatest miracle. My child, you will begin to notice the difference in small things, a peace without explanation, a quiet joy like morning dew. A clarity in the midst of what once seemed chaotic. That is me. I am present in every breath you take, in every step you walk, in every decision you make. You are no longer controlled by the old voices, for I have silenced them. Now only my voice resounds in your heart, my child. Live. I say this so you will know nothing that rises against you can stand. No power can keep you imprisoned in fear. No word spoken over you can make you forget who you are, for my name has been engraved upon your soul, and no one can erase it. You belong to the light. You belong to victory. You belong to me, and what I have ordained, no one can overturn. My child, stand up, breathe deeply, lift your eyes, and know this: the freedom you feel is not an illusion. It is real, because I paid for it with my own life. From now on, you will not merely survive, you will live fully. Remember, everything is moving toward the light. And you, yes, you are at the very center of that plan. You are no longer called by your old name. I call you the redeemed one, the renewed one, the one sent out to proclaim life. And as you walk forward, my child, all of heaven rejoices, because a soul has returned, a heart has awakened, and a child has found themselves again. My child, do you know this? From the moment you began to feel as if your life was just a chain of failures, from those mornings when you woke with emptiness in your heart, to those long nights when there were no tears left to fall right then, a battle was taking place for your soul, and you had no idea. This battle was not in the material world, not measured by sound or light, but far more intense than any battlefield you have ever imagined. While you were busy worrying about each meal, each bill, each relationship, in a deeper realm your soul was being called by name. The forces of darkness thought you would remain forever sunk in exhaustion, that you would abandon your faith, that you would forget who I am. They plotted to make you believe that you were merely someone struggling to exist, without purpose, without value. But they were wrong, for when I saw you trembling in the darkness, I spoke out not with thunder or tempest, but with a gentle voice cutting through every layer of fear. My child, rise. Your hour has come. All throughout that time when you thought you were only living a dull, ordinary life, I was watching every step you took. I saw you give that tired smile at work. I saw you quietly trying to manage everything in that small room. I saw you say, "I'm fine," just so no one would ask anything more. But my child, you are not what you force yourself to become in order to be accepted. You are not the smiling face hiding layers of fear. You are not the one who always has to appear strong so that no one sees how fragile you feel inside. All those roles are only a shell, a way you have learned to survive in a world full of trials. But today, I want to remove all those masks. Today, I want to reintroduce you to yourself, the one I formed with the breath of life, with the light of heaven, not with fear or scarcity. My child, the things that once stood against you no longer have any power. Every accusation, every judgment, every memory that once crushed you has been wiped away. You may not be able to see this with your eyes, but your soul already knows it. Do you feel your heart beating a little differently? Do you sense the atmosphere around you growing lighter? That is because invisible chains are breaking. The cords that bound you to sin, to shame, to fear have now been cut by the power of the Most High. When I look down, I no longer see a child held down by darkness. I see a soul rising up, still weak perhaps, but trembling in the first light of freedom. You believed that all those years of pain were nothing but a waste, that you lived without meaning. But I tell you, no tear has been thrown away. No suffering has been pointless. Every time you fell, I took note. every time you cried out in desperation. I heard, and now, all of that is being transformed. Every failure is being turned into a testimony of faith. Every wound is becoming a mark of strength. Every time you were abandoned is being used to open up compassion within you. My child, the world has made you believe that to be accepted, you must be perfect, but I have never asked that of you. I do not ask you to be strong, I ask you to be real. When you say, I am ready, it is not a declaration for others to hear, but a signal between you and me. It is like a lamp being lit in the spiritual realm, telling the angels this child has awakened and is willing to receive something new. From that very moment, everything begins to move. Doors that were locked start to open. Streams that were blocked begin to flow. The energy that has been imprisoned in fear is being released. You are stepping out of the barren land where you merely survived, and you are entering the promised land where you truly live. I know you do not fully understand what is happening. You only sense your heart changing, as if someone were rewriting you from the inside. Yes, I am rewriting the story of your life. Every memory that made you tremble is being replaced by memories of love. Every curse that clung to you is being replaced by my promises. No one else can define who you are anymore, only I can. No one can reach your soul, because I have covered it with my own light. Pay attention, something is changing in your very breath. The air is different now, no longer as heavy as before. Do you feel it? That is the sign that the heavens above you have been opened. The prayers that once seemed to rise with no reply are now being answered. Not because I have just begun to listen, but because now you are ready to receive. Blessings never disappear. They simply wait until the soul is awake enough to welcome them. My child, you still do not grasp the fullness of what I have done for you. When darkness thought it had won, I spoke out in the unseen realm and declared, enough. When the world tried to label you a failure, I tore up every sheet of accusation and said, this child belongs to me. From that moment, every power that once imprisoned you lost its voice. No plan of darkness can succeed over the one I have chosen. I have sent my angels ahead of you to prepare the way. You cannot see them, but you will feel their footprints in every unexpected opportunity, in every good person you encounter, in the doors that open without explanation. They are working without rest. They are loosening the invisible knots around you, clearing the path before you, bringing light into places that once knew only shadow. Everything I have promised is being fulfilled not by your strength, but by my power. Do not be afraid if there are days when your heart is shaken again, because real change does not arrive like a gentle breeze, it comes like a cleansing storm. There will be moments when it feels as if everything old is collapsing, and it must collapse, so that the new can be built. There will be times when you feel alone, because I am drawing you away from what no longer belongs in the light. Some people will leave. Some things will be lost. But do not cling to them. Whenever I take something from you, it is only to give you something greater. My child, remember that nothing happening now is random. There is no coincidence in the plans of God. Every tear you have ever shed is a note in the melody I am composing. Every season of waiting has meaning, even if you do not understand it. When I am silent, I am shaping something great. When you think I am far away, I am closer than ever. Now, take a deep breath, because that breath is no longer the breath of someone living in fear, but of a soul that has been set free. You have passed through the long night, and dawn is approaching. I have brought you out of the place where you once curled up just to survive. Now I invite you into the place where you can live truly, where you no longer need to pretend to be strong, no longer need to run from your feelings, where there is only you and me, in a light that never goes out. My child, open your heart. Let me teach you how to see yourself through the eyes of heaven. You are no longer someone merely struggling through life. You are the one being restored. You are no longer a soul drained dry. You are the one being filled. You are no longer defined by pain. You are a witness of grace. And from today on, everything I have promised will begin to take shape. No thunderclap is needed. No showy miracle, only a steady heart of faith. For faith itself is the greatest miracle. My child, you will begin to notice the difference in small things, a peace that has no obvious reason, a gentle joy like morning mist, a clarity in the middle of what once felt chaotic. That is me. I am present in each of your breaths, in every step you take, in every decision you make. You are no longer controlled by the old voices, for I have silenced them. Now there is only my voice echoing in your heart, my child. Live. I tell you this so that you will know nothing that rises against you can stand. No power can keep you locked in fear. No word spoken over you can make you forget who you are. For my name has been engraved upon your soul, and no one can erase it. You belong to the light. You belong to victory. You belong to me, and what I have decreed, no one can overturn. My child, stand up, breathe, lift your eyes, and know that the freedom you feel is no illusion. It is real, because I paid for it with my very life. From now on, you will not merely survive, you will live in fullness. Remember, everything is moving toward the light. And you, yes, you are at the very center of that plan. You are no longer called by your old name. I call you the rescued one, the renewed one, the one sent forth to proclaim life. And as you walk forward, my child, all of heaven will rejoice, because a soul has returned, a heart has awakened, and a child has found themselves again. My child, there are moments when your soul has no strength left to pray, no words left to speak, only a silence heavy with despair. Yet even in that very moment, I am still at work quietly, gently, but with a power greater than all your efforts combined. You have thought that miracles belong only to Scripture, to stories printed on ancient pages. But I tell you truthfully, miracles have never ceased. It is only that you stopped looking, stopped believing, stopped receiving. Every day, I still touch human lives, but only those who keep even a small flicker of flame in their hearts, however faint, are able to see me, so that you may understand. There have been people who recognized their sacred moment and responded with obedience, not through grand gestures, but with a single yes in the silence. In Chicago, there was a man named David. He had reached the very bottom of failure, when every door had closed, when his wife's eyes no longer held respect, only pity. That pity, for a man who had once stood firm in the storm, hurt more than any insult. David had prayed, had believed, but the years slowly drained his hope. He sat in a cramped room, surrounded by unopened envelopes of debt, his heart heavy as stone. In that moment, he heard a voice within a call, not loud, not clear, but as soft as a breath of wind. Put your trust in me once more. He obeyed, not out of expectation, but like someone who has nothing left to lose. 3 days later, the phone rang. A distant relative, with whom he had had no contact for 15 years, called and said, "I don't know why, but I feel strongly that I must help you." He received a rescue greater than anything he could have imagined. No conditions, no explanations. When he told the story later, David did not talk about the money. He spoke of the moment his soul was awakened. He said, "For the first time in many years, I knew that God was truly listening to me. And he wept not with the tears of a man in despair, but with the tears of someone newly reborn. In Atlanta, there was a woman named Patricia. For 23 years, she lived under a sentence she had pronounced on herself. At 17, her daughter left home after a heated argument, and from that day on, there was no word, no trace. Every night, Patricia replayed that memory like an old film reel, asking herself if things would have been different had she spoken more softly, held back one more harsh word. That guilt clung to her like a shadow, keeping her from loving anyone completely. When I called her into obedience, she almost refused. "It's too late. God doesn't listen to that prayer anymore," she whispered. And yet, for some reason she could not explain, she still obeyed. 3 days later, the phone rang, an unknown number. On the other end was the voice of the daughter she thought she would never hear again. "Mom, I don't know why I'm calling today. I just feel like I have to call." They met, they embraced, and for the first time in more than 2 decades, Patricia tasted a different kind of tears, tears of release. Her daughter came with 2 children, grandchildren she had never known she had. In the picture sent to me, 3 generations are wrapped in each other's arms under the afternoon sun, owing nothing more to the past, able only to say one thing: God didn't just give me back my daughter, He gave me a new family. In Memphis, Robert and his wife Karen walked through days that anyone would call utterly dark. She was diagnosed with a serious, terminal illness. The doctors said the kind of words that make a heart shatter: "There is no cure, we can only keep her comfortable." Robert was a man of faith, but you know this. Even faith that once felt like solid rock can tremble when the one you love is fading in front of your eyes. I saw him sitting in that hospital room, holding his wife's hand, lips shaking as he pleaded for a miracle. In his desperation, he heard a gentle voice: "Believe." Even when there is nothing left to hold on to, he obeyed, as an act of last resort, not realizing that in that moment he was stepping into the current of a miracle. 3 days later, the doctor came back, hands trembling as he held the scan. The tumor that had wrapped itself around her spine had almost completely disappeared. "I cannot explain this," the doctor said. Robert simply smiled, tears rolling down his cheeks, and replied softly, "I can." That day, he didn't just witness his wife's body being restored, his own soul came back to life. And in Dallas, there was a woman named Jennifer. Her granddaughter, Michaela, had lost all faith after a broken marriage. Her husband betrayed her, leaving her with 2 children and a mountain of debt. She closed her heart, became so cold that even her grandmother's prayers seemed to bounce back unanswered. For 2 years, Jennifer prayed, waited, and then nearly gave up. When I asked her to take one small step of obedience, she did not because she believed, but because she had nothing else left to try. 4 days later, Michaela met a stranger in a supermarket, a random encounter that seemed meaningless, but it was the beginning of something new. That man not only loved her, but loved her children as his own, and quietly paid off all her debts so she could be free. 6 months later, Michaela said over the phone to her grandmother, "I don't understand what's happening, but I feel like something inside me is being untangled." And Jennifer, her voice choked with emotion, simply replied, "That's when God touches you, my child. These stories are not random. They are living proof that I am still at work quietly, without spectacle, yet more powerful than any human plan. They are not fantasies of superstitious minds, but the real movement of grace whenever people choose to step back and let me step in." David did not receive help because he deserved it. but because he obeyed. Patricia was not reunited with her daughter because she was lucky, but because she believed even when her faith was worn thin. Robert did not see a miracle because he prayed the right way, but because he chose not to give up. Jennifer did not save her granddaughter by human strength, but by a small, steady trust that was enough to open heaven's doors. I tell you these things not to stir up a hunger for miracles, but so that you understand miracles are always the fruit of surrender. When you stop trying to control everything, when you loosen your grip on logic and dare to believe in what you cannot explain, that is when I finally have room to act. You still ask why one person receives an answer and another does not. You still imagine that I choose some to love and others to reject. But no, my child, I show no favoritism. The only difference is this: some dare to open the door, while others keep their hearts locked tight with doubt. I know that sometimes when you hear stories like these, you think, that will never happen to me. You look around and see others receiving answers while you remain stuck in the same place. You forget that every person has their own appointed time. David's season was not Patricia's, and Robert's miracle could not look like Michaela's. But I promise you, there is no season I skip over. If you remain steadfast in faith, if you are still willing to believe when there is no evidence left, I will do something beyond anything you can imagine. My child, there are times when I allow everything to fall apart, not to punish you, but to show you which foundations truly stand. Some prayers are not answered because, if I answered them, you would remain in the cramped space of a small, withered soul. Some dreams I allow to break so that you can discover another dream, the dream I have for you, bigger, brighter, overflowing with real love. If today you feel trapped in a dead end, do not be afraid. If you feel exhausted, do not assume my silence. When your hands are empty, you are in the perfect position to receive something new. That is why I call you now. Stop calculating, stop comparing, and let me act. What I am preparing for you does not fit into any human formula, is not limited by time, and cannot be measured by reason. My child, I am the God of new beginnings, of miracles that defy logic, of paths no one thought could open. I do not need you to be extraordinary. I only need you to dare to believe once more. For what I am about to do in your life will go far beyond anything you have ever asked for, imagined, or dared to hope. And when it happens, you will understand there is no plan better than mine, no timing more perfect than the time I choose, and no love greater than the love I have for you, my beloved child. As the night wind gently stirs the leaves outside your window, there is something I want to say to you that cannot wait until morning. The time is no longer someday, no longer when you feel ready, because the blessing I am about to pour over your life needs a soul willing to close the old doors. You cannot carry what is rotting into the promised land. It is not because I am strict, but because my love will not allow you to remain in what makes your soul wither. Within the next 24 hours, I want you to take a step of faith firmly. Close 3 doors that are keeping you from the light. The first door is the bond that has drained your energy, your hope, and your self-respect, drop by drop. You know whom I am speaking about, the person whose messages make your heart tighten each time they appear, the one who makes you hold your breath before every meeting, who forces you to weigh every word so you won't be wounded again, the one who only comes when they need something, yet is nowhere to be found when you need a hug, a simple question of concern, or just a sincere listening ear. I have seen you exhausted yet still smiling, still trying to maintain the connection because you are afraid of being called ungrateful, because you think that walking away is betrayal. But my child, love is never a chain. Loyalty does not mean letting someone tear your soul apart. I do not want you trapped in cycles of blame, in words that stab, in sarcastic laughter hidden behind polite masks. They no longer belong to you, and you no longer belong to them. I need you to let go, not out of hatred, but because you deserve healing. Delete that number. Stop replying to those messages. Step back from conversations that weigh your heart down. This is not revenge. It is the act of someone who knows how to guard the grace within. My child, you have tried to carry them through seasons where I never called them to walk with you. Now, release them. If they truly belong to you, they will find their way back in a different form. If not, they are simply the lesson I used to teach you how to love yourself without losing your soul. The second door I want you to close is made of those quiet habits in the dark, the things you do when no one is watching. You tell yourself they are small, that only you know, that I will not mind. But my child, I was there in every moment you thought you were alone. I saw you pick up your phone in the night, searching for something to distract you from the emptiness inside. I heard you whisper words of self-condemnation, sentences that have become chains around your heart. I'm not good enough. I always fail. I will never change. You have spoken these lines so often that your soul has begun to believe them. But I declare to you, those words do not come from me. I have called you by name. I have called you beloved. I made you in the image of goodness, not under a curse. Those habits, small, hidden as they seem, are corroding your soul, slowly making you forget who you are. In these next 24 hours, I want you to speak this aloud every time the old urge rises up. That door is closed. I am no longer that person. That version of me is over. When you speak these words, darkness will tremble, because it knows you have recognized your authority. The enemy cannot destroy you with great, obvious blows, so it chooses to whisper, to plant tiny thoughts, seemingly harmless habits that slowly choke your freedom. It wants you to believe you are still bound, when I have already placed the key in your hand. Every time you fall back into the old pattern, I am not angry, but I am saddened, because you are still living like a prisoner while the cell door stands open. You may stumble, but do not remain on the ground. Stand up, brush off the dust, and keep walking. Do not wait until you are better, because it is only as you act that you become better. I want you to understand that purity is not a prize, but a daily choice. And when you choose me, darkness has nowhere left to hide. The final door, my child, is the fear hiding in your mind, small yet powerful. The voice that has held you back from each opportunity I have given you. It whispers words that sound reasonable. Play it safe. Don't take risks. Be realistic. Someone like you could never do that. You have listened to it so long that you have mistaken it for wisdom, when in truth, it is only the voice of doubt. I have said, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Yet you still tremble as if I had already left. I have never left you. I am standing on the far side of your fear, waiting for you to cross. Do the thing that makes your hands shake, that makes your heart pound, that makes your mind search for excuses to delay. Write that letter. Speak that apology. Start that project. Tell the truth you have been hiding in your heart. Every small act that pushes through fear is one more step you take toward the light. Fear does not need to be destroyed. It only needs to be overcome. My child, you do not need to wait until you are no longer afraid before you move. The end of fear only comes after you have already stepped forward. You have lived too long in the old rooms of safety, where everything is so familiar that your soul has fallen asleep. Now is the time for you to step out. The wind I have prepared will blow at your back and lift you forward, not to push you into danger, but to lead you into the land where you can finally breathe freely. You think I am pushing you into the unknown, but in truth I am pulling you out of what is already dead. My child, trust me. I have never called anyone to step out without first preparing the road for them. You need only one thing: obedience. These 3 doors: old ties, hidden habits, and small, gnawing fears are the 3 cords holding your soul to the ground. Every time you hesitate, every time you say, maybe tomorrow, you are tightening those cords, one more turn around yourself. But today, I do not come to accuse you. I come to offer you a chance. You do not have much time left to keep delaying, because blessings are already standing at the threshold waiting. You want new grace, yet you cling to old patterns. You want to be lifted up, yet you still clutch what weighs you down. I cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. You must do your part, close what needs to be closed firmly. Finally, without regret. When you do this, I promise you, the door I have prepared will open by itself. It needs no key, because a free soul opens every way before it. You will realize that what you feared losing was never truly what you needed. What you thought was an ending will reveal itself as the beginning of a season of grace. You will see more clearly, hear more sharply, and feel my breath in every step you take. I know this act will cause you pain. Letting go always carries the bitterness of parting. But my child, do not forget that the seed must die before it bears fruit. Life does not sprout from clinging and keeping, but from surrender. When you close the door of the past, you are not rejecting love, you are simply refusing to be wounded further. You are not turning your back on others, you are turning back to yourself. And right there, in that place, I am waiting. In the next 24 hours, whenever you feel your hands tremble and your heart grow anxious, remember, I am holding your hand. When you want to turn back, whisper, Lord, please give me enough courage to step forward. Each time you say it, I will breathe strength into your very breath. You will not tremble as you once did, because trust will become the arm that supports you. After you close those 3 doors, you will witness something wondrous. The room of your soul will suddenly fill with light. Not light from outside, but the light that has always been within you, only hidden for too long. You will hear me more clearly. You will see everything differently. You will live more lightly, more truthfully, and you will understand that I did not ask you to give up anything in order to make you suffer, but so that when your hands are empty, I can finally place my blessings in them. My child, do this not out of fear of me, but out of trust in me, not out of compulsion, but because you desire to live fully. In the next 24 hours, I do not want you only to listen. You must act. Every small action is a yes of faith, and when you say yes, heaven moves. All old energies will recede. Every new door will open, for blessings never come to a soul still clinging tightly to what is old. Remember, I do not need you to be perfect in order to love you, but I need you to be decisive in order to heal you. The door I open for you will be unlike anything you have seen before, not a reward, but a promise. A promise that, if you believe, you will see my glory revealed in your life, and then you will understand everything I asked you to release. I did not ask to take away, but to restore your peace, your purity, and your truest self from the first day I created you. My child, be still for a moment and listen deeply. For now I will speak to your soul about what is to come, about the wind of testing that is blowing through, about the call that only those truly awake will hear. As you hear these words, I want you to know this is not coincidence, not some random scroll. I, myself, have led you here, because in my heart, the time has come for me to lift you to another level of faith. No longer just gentle, milk-like comfort, but solid bread for a maturing soul food that will keep you standing even when everything around you is shaken. When you hear these words and something inside you rises with a sense of, "This is for me," that is a sign, not of emotion, but of the Holy Spirit. I have already prepared those who need to hear this same resonance, 3 souls. No more, no less. You will see them, not with your eyes, but with the intuition deep within you. Do not doubt that whisper. It does not come from your mind, but from the very place where I dwell. And when I stir their names in your thoughts, know that I am giving you a mission to pass on the light that once shone on you. Do not over-explain. Do not edit. Do not fear being misunderstood, for my word does not need to be shielded by human reasoning. It carries its own power. It will go straight to where it must go, at the right time, to the right person, to the right soul that is thirsty. I call you not to hear and walk away, but to act, for faith that remains only in words is dead. But when it becomes movement, it carries power. When you share this, you are sowing the seed I have placed in your hand, and each seed will sprout in 3 other souls. And from them, the light will keep spreading like the ripples on water when a single drop falls. It does not need to be loud, only true. It does not need argument, only obedience. My child, when you choose to stand on the side of light, darkness will notice, not because it is strong, but because it is afraid. In the moment you choose me, you do something the unseen world cannot ignore. You redirect the entire current of your soul. You change your very frequency. And that makes the forces that once kept you bound begin to tremble. They will strike back not with swords or spears, but with small, subtle, very ordinary things. A pointless argument, a message that reopens old wounds, a sudden wave of guilt rising from nowhere. But my child, see through it. Each time this happens, do not be afraid, for it is proof that the new door truly has opened. As you begin to step into new ground, the past will try to pull you back. It will put on a reasonable voice and make you believe you are overreacting, that things are fine. Don't change them. You will notice that some who were once close to you seem to grow distant, because your soul has changed frequency and they do not yet understand. Do not be angry with them, and do not go back merely to keep them comfortable. They are not your enemies. They simply have not yet seen what you have seen. Your light makes them see their own darkness, and that disturbs them. Love them, but do not stop. My child, whenever a wind of testing blows against you, say clearly in your heart, I see you. I know what this is. In that moment, fear will melt like mist. You do not have to fight it, you only have to recognize it. For darkness cannot remain where it is exposed. Declare in faith, I am not turning back. The old contracts are void. The old bonds are broken. I belong to another kingdom. When you speak this, all heaven echoes with rejoicing. You have crossed a threshold where many souls once stopped because they were afraid. You have survived nights when I heard your sobs in the dark. Those tears at 3 in the morning, you thought they were useless, but they were the markers of your journey. I have heard them all, recorded them all. So now, do not let your faith be stolen by whispers disguised as common sense. You are not extreme. You are not crazy. You are simply awake in a world that is asleep. My child, I do not promise that this journey will be easy, but I promise that it will be real. You will feel every beat of my heart within your own. You will see how I arrange even the smallest pieces of your life so that everything points toward a higher purpose. You may lose a few people, a few relationships, even a few parts of who you used to be. But do not grieve. I never take anything away without already having prepared something better. Every loss is a purification. Every surrender makes you lighter so you can rise higher. I know you are afraid that you will get lost, that you are not holy enough, not worthy enough. But my child, worthiness does not come from you, it comes from me. I called you not because you are flawless, but because you are willing, and that willingness is more precious than any strength. You do not need to be qualified, only authentic. When you come to me with an honest heart, I can turn weakness into strength, wounds into mission. You will begin to notice signs. It might be a dream, a phrase someone says, or simply a passing breeze that your soul recognizes. Do not ignore them. I will use everything: wind, water, light, even silence, to remind you that I am still here. When you feel as if everything is collapsing, remember, it is only the old foundation being torn down so that the new temple can be raised. My child, when you step into true light, darkness will scream one last time. It will try to make you doubt your own experience, to convince you it was all just temporary excitement. But remember, true faith does not rest on feelings. It is a choice, a decision to stand firm even when the wind blows against you. When you feel at your weakest, know that I am closest to you. When you sense nothing at all, that is when I am working the deepest in your soul. I call you to rise, not only for yourself, but for those who still dare not. Become a living witness, not through sermons, but through your life. When you remain steadfast in the storm, others will see me in you. When you love even while wounded, the world will know you belong to another kingdom. When you refuse revenge, yet still smile, heaven rejoices, for light has conquered yet another territory. Do not think you are too small to do something great. Be faithful in the small, and I will broaden your influence. Live at the frequency I have placed within you, and I will handle the rest, not with noise, but with quiet power. You do not need to chase influence. You only need to keep the light burning in you, and the darkness will retreat on its own. My child, this is not a game of chance. This is a calling. When you say, "Yes, I remain," you agree to enter my new rhythm. And when you live in that frequency, no force can drag you back. Every attack is only the last convulsion of things that are dying out. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I go before you to clear the way, and I come behind you to keep you from falling. There will come a moment when you realize you do not need any spectacular miracle. You only need to look back and see that you are no longer the person you were yesterday. The anger that used to flare so easily now softens. The fear that once shrank you now becomes a gentle strength. Your eyes shine brighter. Your words grow warmer. Your heart grows deeper. That is the true miracle. And when you stand in that place of light, know this: the first thing I want you to do is to give it away. Share it with the 3 souls I will place in your path, not to convert them with arguments, but to sow hope. You do not know the power of a sincere word, but I do. It may be that a single sentence you send today will save a soul standing on the edge of collapse. My child, walk forward without hesitation. This world needs people who do not only hear about light, but live in the light. Let every decision you make, every word you speak, every look you give, carry the fragrance of heaven. Let others look at you and know that I am real. Let your very life become a testimony that I still do things beyond all human calculations and beyond every human limit. For in the end, my child, faith is not about avoiding storms, but about daring to walk in the storm while still trusting that I command the wind. When you step out, you will see that fear has lost its grip. The past no longer chains you. The future is no longer a blur, only my eternal love remains, covering all things. And that, my child, is the true beginning of freedom. My child, now that your soul has opened to receive, Let each word of mine sink deep into the innermost place of your spirit, like a gentle rain watering dry ground, like breath from heaven touching what you thought was dead. For I, the one who made heaven and earth, who holds all things in my hand, am speaking to you. Listen, not with your ears, but with your heart, where the pulse of faith beats, where my light has never gone out. May what I sow today grow into heavy, abundant fruit within your soul, and from that place you will know that I am still doing wonders in you, through you, and for you. May financial blessing flow through your life like a river that cannot be stopped, so that you no longer give in hesitation, but give with pure joy, like one who sows knowing for certain that harvest time is near. For when you learn to give, you are touching my very nature, the one who gives without calculation, who offers without holding back. Let your true wealth be measured not in numbers, but in the joy of being an instrument of grace. And then you will see that what you send out will return to you, not as loss, but as the quiet cycle of miracles, where everything given is multiplied in the silence of heaven. May your body come into harmony with the frequency of heaven, not bound by the diagnoses of earth, nor limited by the frailty of flesh, but responsive to the call of the one who breathed life into dust, every cell in you. I call you to awaken, O weary parts of your body. Rise up in resurrection power. Let my breath touch every fiber, every vessel, every dormant cell, that they may be restored, renewed, and filled with the supernatural strength that flows from the throne of grace. Sickness no longer has the right to claim you, for I have written your name on the palms of my hands, and where my light dwells, there is no room for the darkness of pain. May every weakened organ within you receive restoration that surpasses human understanding. When doctors say, impossible, I say it is finished. When people declare no more hope, I speak, live. For life does not come from human words, but from the breath I placed in you from the very beginning. You are a temple of the Holy Spirit, not a ruined house, but a sanctuary filled with glory. Believe this, and you will see your body respond to truth like dry ground meeting rain, like a hidden spring bursting forth in the wilderness. May every toxic relationship, every chain that binds your soul through sin, deceit, and unhealthy dependence gently fall away from you in the softness of a miracle. Without arguments, without blame, they will fade like mist before the dawn. And as they depart, the people I have chosen will enter your life at the right time and in the right way, carrying healing, support, and genuine love. My child, remember this: what comes from me does not fill you with fear or rob you of peace. It makes you feel sheltered, as if held in my arms. May anxiety lose its right to occupy your mind, especially in those dark hours at 3 in the morning, when you often wake beneath the weight of an invisible burden. From now on, my peace will be your very breath, no longer an occasional visitor, but a permanent dwelling place. That peace does not come from the world, so no one can take it away. When you lie down, I will guard your sleep. When you wake, I will kiss your forehead with the gentle light of early morning, and you will know I am still here in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every quiet space between two worries. May the blessed bloodline that flows through your life spread to your children and your children's children. May every generational curse stop with you, unable to cross the boundary of light. From you, a new lineage will be reborn, no longer bound by hurt, failure, or doubt, but built on the solid rock of faith. My child, believe that I am not only working in you, but also in the generations after you. For I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and I am also the God of your descendants. May the calling within your soul become so strong that doubt can no longer find a place to hide. May the light in you burn so brightly that darkness does not dare draw near. I did not create you to live dim and unnoticed among the crowd, but to sound like a trumpet in the desert, calling wandering souls back home. Let your purpose shine as clearly as the sunrise, so that trivial things can no longer push you off course. When you know to whom you belong, you will no longer be concerned with pleasing anyone else. May the doors you have been knocking on for years burst open with the sound of a miracle, not merely creak ajar, but swing wide, so wide that you are overwhelmed by the grace pouring in. Opportunities you thought were gone forever will come back to seek you. You will not have to chase blessings. Blessings will pursue you. Even in the most ordinary moments in the supermarket, at the gas station, in a brief conversation, my grace will find you. Because that grace is not limited by space or time, it follows the footsteps of those who believe. May all that was stolen from your life be repaid with interest, not just doubled, but multiplied far beyond human calculation. I have seen the years the locusts have eaten in your life, the missed chances, the shattered dreams, the seasons wasted in tears. But I declare this, all those years will be restored in a single season. When grace comes, it does not trickle, it floods. You will not be able to count the good things, for they will roll over you like waves. May every place you step into be changed by your presence, not because you speak loudly, but because your soul carries the weight of a heavenly presence. When you are there, darkness trembles, because it recognizes me in you. Know that each one of your footsteps is a declaration from heaven that light still shines in the night. You are not small. My child, you are a torch I have set in this world. May every relationship that remains be as strong as a cord of 3 strands, not easily broken. And may the relationships that no longer belong to you quietly fall away, not in anger but in the silence of release. You will no longer be torn, no longer trapped between holding on and letting go, because I will draw that line clearly for you. When something is from me, it will stand firm even when the wind changes. When something is not from me, it will fade away no matter how tightly you cling to it. And finally, my child, may you know that all I declare today is not a distant wish, but a covenant. I do not speak empty words. When I say may it be, I am not merely wishing, I am creating. Every word that leaves my mouth carries the power to bring itself to pass. Keep these words in your heart like holy seeds. Water them with faith. Tend them with gratitude. And you will see miracles sprout even in days that seem utterly ordinary. For I am the one who still works wonders in a weary world. I am the one who opens doors when all others are shut, who renews hope when it has burned down to embers, who kindles light where no glow remains. Believe, my child, not only with your mind, but with your whole soul. Live as though what you are praying for has already come to pass, and you will see heaven answer more quickly than you imagined. Peace will no longer be something you chase, but something you carry. Blessing will no longer be a distant reward, but the inheritance you live in every day. And I, your God, will rejoice to watch you walk in that light, like a child who has finally found themselves again in the Father's embrace. My child, now I want to show you another picture, like a sacred mirror reflecting 2 paths, both very real. But only one will lead your soul to the place I have prepared. Imagine that after hearing these words, you leave the screen and return to the same old room, the room that has grown so familiar with sighs. The light is still as yellow as every night, and you sit again, wrapped in the same blanket, wrapping your dreams in silence as well. You tell yourself, it's beautiful, it moved me, but I'll think about it tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, and everything is the same. Time passes, and the desires that once burned brightly within you fade like embers into ash. You look around, still the same apartment, still the same job that slowly dries your heart, still the same face that once hurt you, still the same conversations, still the same question: why does God work miracles for others but not for me? The answer, my child, is not in my hands. It lies in the moment you chose not to step. But there is another possibility, another reality waiting. It is still you, still sitting in the night. But instead of sighing, you sense a faint light rising inside, like the last oil in a lamp that has not yet gone out. You know something has just touched your soul, not a fleeting feeling, but a calling. You realize this is not a random moment, but an appointment I have set, not just inspiring words, but an invitation to change the direction of your destiny. And you do not wait until morning. You stand up. You close the doors that have suffocated you, the door of doubt, the door of sin, the door of delay. You decide to share that light, not to keep it just for yourself. You do the thing that scares you, but in that trembling, faith begins to sprout. A few days later, you are no longer just a listener, but a witness. You tell others, that night, I knew God had touched me. And years later, your story becomes a spark for someone else wandering in the dark as you once did. That is how I write miracles through souls who dare to believe, dare to move, and dare to let me transform them. My child, I did not create you to live in the comfort zone. I formed you so you would know what it is to walk on water without sinking, to believe in what cannot be explained. Do not let faith be only a passing emotion late at night. Do not let holy moments exist only for a few minutes and then vanish like morning mist. I want you to understand every moment you hear, my word is a chance for a new future to be formed. When you choose to step out, you are not only changing your own life, you are shifting the flow of grace, waiting to pour through you into the world. My child, for so long you have thought that breakthrough comes from circumstances. But I tell you truly, it comes from a decision of the soul, not when you have enough money, enough strength, enough time, but when you have enough faith to say, Lord, I am willing. Breakthrough does not begin on the outside, but on the inside, in the moment you believe that what I speak can become reality. When you declare it with your mouth, you are opening the door for me to act. Every word spoken in faith is a seed sown into heaven. And when you say, I choose breakthrough, you are not only speaking to yourself, you are speaking to heaven, to darkness, to every force that has tried to hold you back, declaring that you now belong to the light. I see your heart wavering between belief and doubt, between hope and fear. But remember, my child, no faith can be called true if it has never been tested. Every miracle is born from a faith that dared to walk through the dark. I do not need you to be certain. I only need you not to turn away. Take a step, even if you tremble, even if your cheeks are still wet with tears. Because with every step forward, I will open another way, and you will discover that what you thought was a chasm was only a bend in the road leading you to the land I promised. You may say, but Lord, I've tried so many times. I have no strength left. I understand. But my child, miracles are not reserved for those who are strong. They are for souls who dare to bring their exhaustion to me. I do not need you to manage everything. I only need you to let me do it with you. Stop trying to control every detail. Let go of the numbers, the formulas, the calculations of when, how, and what if. Faith is not an equation. It is a step taken in the mist. And when you dare to step, I will turn the mist into a path. My child, look around you. How many have heard me speak, been touched, promised to change, and yet still live as before, still say tomorrow, still wait for a better time? They spend their lives in a loop of regret. But I also see those who are weak, clumsy, seemingly ordinary, and yet with one simple yes, I have worked miracles through them, not because they were perfect, but because they were genuine, not because they were strong, but because they let me be strong for them. Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Simeon who spent his life waiting to see the Savior. Many called him foolish, saying nothing would ever happen, yet he kept believing. And one day, in the midst of a busy crowd, while every other eye was indifferent, he recognized the child in the arms of a young mother, not because he had been given a detailed announcement, but because he had guarded his faith long enough to recognize a miracle when it came. How many miracles have passed right by your life without you seeing them? Because the eyes of your soul were blinded by fear and calculation, my child. I do not need you to make big promises. I only need you to dare to say, I choose to believe. For the smallest seed of faith is enough to shake the heavens. When you speak this out loud, it is not for me to know. For I already know your heart. It is for you to know that you have chosen. A declared choice becomes the seal that marks the beginning of a miracle. When you say it, you are letting go of fear. You are allowing light to redefine your life. Do you remember, my child, that every witness of miracles was once someone weak? Moses said he was slow of speech. Gideon saw himself as the least of all. Peter once denied me. Paul once opposed me. Yet I turned them all into instruments of my power. For I do not choose the perfect. I choose those who know how to surrender in faith. And I am still choosing you. My little soul, do not let the coming year resemble the last. Do not let tomorrow be a copy of today. When you dare to rise, all of heaven moves with you. I have waited so long to place into your hands what I have prepared. You need only open your hands, not to be strong, not to be worthy, but to be sincere. My child, do not let this moment pass by like a passing breeze. Engrave it in your heart as a new covenant. You are not a nameless face in a crowd searching for meaning. You are the one whom I see, whom I call by name. And when you respond, all of heaven bows low. Believe that when you walk with me, you will never walk alone. What you cannot do, I will do for you. Where you are afraid to go, I will go before you. What you lose, I will return to you in a more beautiful way. Your life is not in the hands of fate. It is in my hands, and I have never ruined anything entrusted to me. My child, be brave enough to declare with all your heart, I choose breakthrough. You do not need to post it online. You only need to carve it into the depths of your heart. For when you say this, you are not speaking to the world. You are answering the call I have whispered into your soul for a very long time. From that moment on, a new timeline begins to unfold, in which you are no longer bound by fear or failure, but led by grace. And one day, when you look back, you will tell others not as someone who once heard a story, but as a witness of that very miracle. You will say, that night, I heard the Lord's voice, and I chose to believe. And from that moment, you did not simply live differently, you became living proof that the one who called you still does things beyond all calculation. My child, the clock of this world keeps on ticking, but the time of heaven is not measured in minutes or seconds. Every movement in the spiritual realm begins when your heart trembles with even one small beat of faith. In the very moment you pause, open your heart, and listen to these words. I want you to know nothing is random. Everything has been arranged, delicately and precisely down to each breath, Every event, every person, every meeting that seemed accidental in your life has been placed in order by divine providence. You think you just happened to click, just wanted to listen to ease your heart a little. But in truth, it was the moment I chose you to speak with. I have seen you for a long time, through all the days of your weariness, when your faith was like a thin thread, close to breaking yet still trying to hold. You sighed, looked up at the sky, and asked, "Lord, do you still remember me?" I heard that question not with ears, but with the ache in your heart. You do not need to shout, because I hear your soul even when your lips are silent. Now I want you to listen. I have never abandoned you, not for a single second. Every time you thought you were alone was when I stood the closest, just waiting for you to dare to look up. There are things I have allowed you to pass through, not because I wanted you to suffer, but because only through the cracks can light enter. You once thought my silence meant indifference. But no, those were the times I was rewriting your story with the ink of patience. Every trial, every wound, every loss has its place in the hymn of victory I am preparing. Sometimes I let you lose something not because I desire to take away, but because I am about to give you something greater, something you could not receive if your hands were still clinging to the old. I see you, still hesitating between choices. You look forward and see uncertainty. You look back and see regret. You long to change, yet you are afraid. Afraid that if you let go, you will have nothing left. But my child, some of the things you call safety are in reality prisons. Some of what you cling to, thinking it protects you, is in truth draining your soul day after day. I do not want you merely to survive. I want you to live abundantly. Every limit you think is unchangeable can be broken when you trust me more than you trust your own fear. You have prayed much, cried much, waited much. There were nights you stared quietly at your phone, hoping for a message, an answer, a small miracle. But my child, miracles do not always arrive like thunder. They often come like a gentle breeze I blow across your heart. I am setting in motion things you never dared to hope for. No one can hinder what I have decided to do. No one can shut what I have opened. Everything you think is random, a passing word from someone, a glance, a small event is part of the plan. I am working to bring you where you need to be. Breakthrough is not a distant destination. It is the moment you dare to believe that you are no longer imprisoned by your past, no longer limited by your fears, no longer defined by your wounds. When you turn the direction of your heart, the whole universe shifts with you. All I need from you is a small whisper, I believe. When you say those words, not only your lips move, but the spiritual realm trembles. Angels begin to move. Doors that have been closed swing open, and people you thought had forgotten you suddenly remember you with an unexplainable prompting. Do you see, my child? This world is moving according to the order I have set, and I am at work, not to impress, but to redeem. At times I slow down the things you desire so that you may grow enough to hold the blessing. If I give it too soon, you would lose it too quickly. My child, be patient. Patience is not merely waiting in silence. It is trusting in hope. And when you still choose to believe, even when you see nothing at all, that is true faith. I do not want you to go on living in a worn-out state of existence. I want you to realize that I have already placed within you a flame that may be small, but cannot be extinguished. Let me breathe into it the breath of new life. You are here not by chance. No one arrives at my appointed moment without purpose. I have chosen this hour, this very moment, to awaken you, for you have walked too long in silence, endured too many wounds while thinking you must heal yourself. But my child, no one can heal your soul, but me. You may not understand now, but every event has its reason. The people who left, the things that did not work out, the doors that closed, all of them are, yes, written in the form of no. I am protecting you from things you thought were good, so that you can receive what truly belongs to you. For sometimes you ask for something small, while I am preparing something great. I want you to believe, but not blindly. To believe is to know that, though everything around you may change, I remain the one who does not change. To believe is to dare to smile in the storm, knowing that I am holding your hand. To believe is to walk even when you cannot see the road, knowing that I, myself, am the way. To believe is to know that every silence of mine carries meaning, and if I have not yet answered, that answer is still being formed. My child, I have watched you when you were lost, but I have never allowed you to be lost to me. You are one of my beloved souls, and I do not waste a single sorrow of yours. Every tear you have shed, I have recorded. Every sleepless night I have sat beside you. And now, as you read these words, I want you to know that the old cycle is closing. A new season is coming, not imagined by you, but ordained by me. Do not think that breakthrough means having everything. True breakthrough is when you understand that having me is enough. When you place your trust in the right place, everything else falls into place. When you choose me instead of fear, choose forgiveness instead of resentment, choose faith instead of doubt, that is when your life is changed. It is not the outer world that changes first, but your soul that is reborn. Now, let every anxiety fall away. Let your calculations stop imprisoning you. I am leading you through the last rain before the dawn. When the light breaks, you will realize that everything that once seemed meaningless was a brushstroke I used to paint the picture of your life. There is no more randomness, only a perfect design of love. And my child, remember this, you are not here just to listen. You are called to live differently. Right now, that decision lies in your hands. One act of trust is enough to shake the heavens. When you whisper in your heart, Lord, I believe that all of this is true. At that very moment, the waves of the spiritual realm begin to move. The things you have been waiting for, the miracles you thought were too late, they are all on their way. Not because you forced them, but because you opened your heart at the right time. My child, be at peace. Let your heart rest in my arms. Do not run. Do not resist. Do not strive to understand everything. Rest in faith, for faith does not spare you from trials, but it carries you through them in peace. And when everything has quieted, you will see clearly. Breakthrough is not somewhere ahead of you, it is already happening within you. Right now, I call you by name, not to remind you of your failures, but to assure you that you have never been forgotten. Every step you have taken lies within my plan. You have come this far, not by your own strength, but by grace. And now, I invite you to go on not in fear, but in the confidence that I am still doing what surpasses all human calculation. Do not doubt any longer. Believe. Step forward, and leave the rest to me. For the work I have begun, I, myself, will bring to completion. My child, you have heard of all I have done, the miracles beyond human understanding, the signs that prove my hand has never ceased to move through the flow of time. I am the one who walked with Abraham in his lonely steps through the desert, the one who called him not only with a voice, but with a promise that would echo through generations. I am the one who blessed Isaac in the midst of famine, so that in the dry and barren land there rose a harvest overflowing with grace. I am the one who brought water from the dry rock, who multiplied 5 loaves into a meal for multitudes, who makes the impossible possible, with a single breath of my power. And I am still the same today, unchanging, unfailing, never distant. It is only you, my child, who at times are blind to the very miracles unfolding before your eyes. You once wondered, why are there no more miracles like before? But, my child, miracles have never left. It is only that you have stopped paying attention, grown accustomed to seeing life as a chain of random days. You have forgotten that every moment I touch becomes holy. Miracles are not only in towering waves or fire from heaven, but in your ordinary breath where I am still whispering, I am here. Each morning you wake up, still breathing, still able to love, still strong enough to forgive. That is my sign. You look for something grand, while I am quietly building what endures. You search for thunder, while I speak through the soft breeze on your cheek. You wait for blazing light, while I dwell in the small candle of faith, waiting for you to see. I see you sitting in front of a screen on a quiet night, surrounded by countless videos and unnumbered faces, when suddenly something makes your heart tremble. You do not know why, you only know that something very small, very gentle, has brought tears to your eyes. That is the moment I touch your soul. Sometimes miracles take the shape of a simple instant like that, a piece of music that awakens your faith, a line of text that makes you pause, or a prayer that makes you want to kneel. You think it is coincidence, but I call it an appointment. You often think that I am present only in great cathedrals where people sing and offer prayers, but I am still in your small room, in the wind slipping through the crack in the door, in the faint light of the lamp on your desk. I am there when you laugh alone, and I am there when you sit in silence, staring into nothingness. You think I am far, but in truth, I am so close that the moment you gently close your eyes, I am already there. I have worked miracles in the lives of many, not to make them extraordinary, but to help them realize that I have never left. Patricia thought her daughter was lost forever, but I returned the child to her as proof that love knows no distance. Karen fell into despair when she heard the word cancer, but I caused withered cells to live again so she would know that life rests in my hands. Michaela once believed her life was nothing more than a string of sad days, but I arranged a seemingly random encounter where a man saw her worth when she herself had long forgotten how precious she was. These miracles are not old stories, not just the stories of others. They are my reminders to you that I am still at work, still writing the story of love in which you are a special chapter. Do you know this? I am still watching every beat of your heart. Each time your heart trembles with emotion, that is when I am gently knocking. When you feel something deeper than reason, when tears fall and you do not know why that is, when your soul is recognizing my presence. You may call it a feeling, intuition, but I call it awakening. I do not change. My child, I am not ruled by time or circumstance. From the beginning of creation, I have written the law of love, and that law has never changed. You may live in a world drowning in doubt, but faith has never gone out of date. No technology, no invention, no noise of this age can silence my voice in the hearts of those who are willing to listen. I am still speaking, still working, still calling. The problem does not lie with me, but with your ears. Are you still quiet enough to hear? Sometimes miracles do not come with an earthquake. They come like a soft breath. You may not hear my voice, but you will feel warmth spread through your heart at the very moment you are in despair. You may not see any trace of me, but you will notice a gentle light after the storm within has calmed. That is me, the one who brings order out of chaos, who gives meaning to every broken piece. My child, I do not want you to only hear about the miracles of others. I want you to step into the miracle written just for you. I want you to believe that even in the smallest things, I am weaving golden threads into your story. Do not wait for grand signs. Sometimes miracles arrive as a door that suddenly opens. A person who appears by chance. A word spoken offhand that nonetheless changes the course of your life. You ask me, how can I know what is a miracle and what is only coincidence? My child, the answer is simple. When your soul feels at peace while your mind is still full of storms, that is the sign of my work. Peace is never a product of human effort, it is my gift. When your heart grows calm in the midst of chaos, that is not luck, that is me dwelling within you. I know there are times when you are tired of waiting. You have prayed, you have hoped, and still everything seems silent. You think I have forgotten you? No, I have never forgotten. I am simply preparing something greater than you imagine. You see delay, I see ripening. You want everything to happen now. I want you mature enough to hold what I am about to give. So when you do not yet see, do not assume that I am silent. Trust that I am working in silence. My child, when I act, no one can stop me. When I bless, no enemy can steal that blessing away. But I will not force you to believe, because faith cannot be born from fear, it only grows from love. That is why I invite. I do not coerce. I knock. I do not break down the door. If you will only open, just a little, I will flood in like light through a narrow crack, not loud, not dazzling, but enough to make the darkness vanish at once. You see, hear, and come to know certain things, not by accident. It is my choosing. I have planted in your heart a seed of faith, and now I want you to let it live. This world may push you toward doubt, but do not let doubt dim the light within you. I have staked my trust on you, not because you are strong, but because I know that even in your weakness, you still turn toward the light. Show that my choice was right. Now stand up, my child. Do not merely read about me, let me live in you. Let the works I have done in Scripture become alive in your own life. When you forgive the one who wounded you, I am at work. When you dare to love again after heartbreak, I am at work. When you choose trust instead of fear, I am at work. Every step you take in faith is a step I take closer to you. Do not wait for a miracle to appear before you believe. Believe, and you will see the miracle. Do not wait for the light before you move. Step forward, and you will see dawn. Do not wait for perfect circumstances, for it is in the hardest seasons that I write the brightest chapters of your life. I have begun my work in you, and I will bring it to completion. Nothing and no one can block what I have ordained. Go forward. My child, do not be afraid. Do not doubt. Every breath you draw is proof that I still have work to do through your life. This world needs the light that only you carry. I have placed that light in your heart. Now let it shine. Go. My child, do not fear. Carry my faith, my compassion, and my light into the world. When you move in faith, I will move through you. And then, when people ask you whether miracles are real, you will only need to smile and say, I am the proof. For I, the unchanging one, am still doing what only I can do. And you are part of that plan. My child, when I do something, I do not act according to human logic. You measure life by time, I measure it by eternity. You see the road just ahead. I see both the beginning and the destination of your soul. So do not panic when the structures you have built collapse. For it may be that in that very collapse, I am laying the foundation for something more enduring. You think I come to carry out your wishes, but in truth I come to show you that sometimes your very wishes are the chains binding your soul. You call them dreams, I call them what must be purified. You call them future plans. I call them doors. I will close so that a better one can open. I know you have been angry when your prayers seemed unanswered. You say I am silent. But my child, sometimes that very silence is my clearest word. If I granted every request in the way you wanted, you would never learn that grace is not about always getting what you ask for, but about discovering that my will is greater than your imagination. When you asked me for light, I gave you a long night so you would treasure true light when it returned. When you asked for peace, I let you walk through a storm so you would know that peace is not the absence of waves, but the steadiness of a heart held firm while the sea rages around it. And when you asked for strength, I did not make you harder, I made you weaker, so that only in your weakness could my power be made perfect. Often you want everything to be quick, clear, and reasonable, but I am the Lord of perfect timing, not of haste. Every moment of delay has a purpose. Remember, I am never late. I always arrive at the right time. But the right time in my eyes is not the same as in yours. You want flowers to bloom at once, but I know the soil must first be broken. You want the harvest now, but I know the seed must lie in the dark, must be buried, must decay before it can rise. So it is with your soul if you long for resurrection. You must allow the old parts of you to die. I let you fall, not to shatter you, but to bring you to the place where you have no one left to cling to but me. You have looked back over your life and asked, why did you let this happen? But if I showed you every step of my working, you would have no need of faith. True faith is not born in full clarity, but in mystery. It is precisely because you do not understand that you cling to me. Remember this, I do not gamble with your life. Everything that happens is part of a symphony only I can hear in full. You hear just a short passage and think the music is offbeat. But my child, if you would listen patiently to the final bar, you would see that every rise and fall has served a perfect harmony. You must learn to trust me more than you trust yourself. For there are times when your own heart deceives you with fear, and times when your eyes look but do not truly see. You see failure and think it is the end, while I see in that failure a new beginning. You see someone leaving you and feel rejected, while I see that as the way I free you from what was never meant to be yours. You see a closed door and call it an ending, while I am quietly opening another path hidden, deep, and visible only to those who wait. My child, if you want to see my power, do not look for it in the noisy places. Look for it in small things your heart might easily overlook. A sudden peace in the midst of trouble, that is me. A faint spark of hope in the dark, that is me. A person who appears at the exact moment you need them, that too is me. I do not work miracles to show off my power. I work them to remind you that I am still here, still intervening, still guiding every breath of your life. I know there are times when you sigh and say, Lord, nothing seems to change. But my child, even a seed does not know it is sprouting while still in the soil. It feels buried, while in truth it is becoming alive. So it is with you. I am working beneath the surface of what you can see. There are things I desire to do within you that are more important than the things you ask me to change around you. I do not only want to transform your circumstances, I want to renew your very heart. Sometimes I let you lose your sense of direction, not to throw you into panic, but to stop you from relying only on your own maps. You are used to living by numbers, plans, and things that can be measured. But faith is not measured by reason. Faith is when you walk even when you cannot see the path. It is when you choose to believe before there is any proof. It is when you say yes, even when everything around you says impossible. It is in that very moment when your reason collapses that your soul begins to see me. My child, I do not want you only to ask for miracles. I want you to become a miracle. Do not wait for a sign from heaven. Be that sign. When you choose love in the midst of anger, you are already working a miracle. When you choose forgiveness in the midst of hurt, you are already working a miracle. When you choose to rise again in the midst of disappointment, you are living something the world cannot comprehend. For what I do goes beyond your calculations. Yet I also choose to do it through you. Sometimes I allow you to fall into situations you never wanted, only so that you may become the person you truly need to be. Trials are not meant to punish, but to refine. Gold must pass through fire, coal must be pressed to become diamond. You beg me not to let you suffer, but I know that only in suffering do you learn how to love. You beg me not to let you lose anything, but I know that only in losing do you discover what is truly worth keeping. You beg me to give you peace, yet I send a gust of wind, because I know that true peace only comes when the soul learns to trust even in the midst of the storm. Do not ask me why. Ask instead, Lord, what do you want me to learn through this? When you begin to ask that question, you are moving from complaining to wisdom, from a fearful person to a trusting child. For the one who truly believes does not need to understand everything. They only need to know that the one they trust is worthy of trust. Let me act in my own way, and you will see that sometimes what I do most silently is what is greatest. When you ask me for light, I do not pull the sun down to you, but I kindle a small candle within you, and that candle will lead you through the night. When you ask me to show you the way, I do not draw the entire map, but I light each step ahead because I want you to walk holding my hand, not run ahead of me, my child. You will see that what I do always surpasses human understanding. You calculate with numbers, I work in miracles. You seek results, I shape the journey. You long for a level road, I raise hills so that you may learn to climb. And when you reach the summit, you will understand that all I have done was never to frighten you, but to make you strong in love. You do not need to understand me, you only need to trust me. For if you could understand everything, I would no longer be God. And if you could control everything, you would no longer need me. Therefore, my child, when you do not understand, trust even more. When you are lost, stop and be still. When you are in pain, say, Lord, I do not know, but I surrender. With that single surrender, I will turn dead ends into pathways, ashes into sunrise, and tears into blessing. Stop being afraid. Stop calculating. Stop demanding. You do not need to know everything. You only need to trust that I am at work. You will never measure my love by logic, but you can feel it through faith. I am still weaving your life with threads you cannot see. But one day, when the tapestry is complete, you will realize that every stitch, even the crooked ones, has formed a perfect image that only I could design. And in that moment you will fall to your knees, not to question, but to give thanks, because I, the one who works beyond all your plans, have never stopped loving you, my beloved child. Now that the dawn of your soul has begun to break, and the invisible chains no longer hold you so tightly, let your heart grow quiet. Let your breathing become gentle, and your heart become soft. For this is the moment when you are invited to lift up your prayer to me with a heart that can feel again and a soul that has just been awakened. Let every word of your prayer flow like living water, fresh, sincere, and soaked in faith. Almighty God, who works miracles beyond all human calculation, I bow before you with a trembling yet grateful heart. There were days when I doubted, when I grew weary, when I asked whether you still remembered me. But today I understand that every silence of yours carried a purpose. Every delay was filled with love. Grant me eyes to see your hand quietly weaving good out of what seems broken. Grant me courage to stop my constant calculations, to lay down my own reasoning, and to let you write the unfinished chapters of my life. I do not ask you to take away my trials. I only ask you to be with me in every trial, so that I will no longer be afraid, knowing that you are still working wonders even when I cannot yet see them. Living Lord, there were times I was exhausted from waiting, times I wanted to walk away from unanswered prayers. But Lord, when I see those who were rescued in the midst of despair, I understand you did not promise an easy road. You only promised to walk it with me. Grant me a faith that does not rest on outcomes, but on the trust that you know what is best. When I no longer have the strength to believe, please believe for me. When I am lost in fear, whisper to me I am still here. And when I am worn out by silence, let my soul still be able to sing a song of hope. God of love, I offer to you all the parts of my life I cannot understand, the losses, the wounds, the things I once called the worst. Please turn them into fertile soil for the seeds of grace. Teach me to receive what I did not ask for as pearls wrapped in mud. Teach me not to seek miracles in the thunder, but in the quiet breath of each morning. Teach me to believe that you are at work even when everything within me insists you are not. Grant me a humble heart that recognizes that even in suffering, I am still loved without condition. Loving Lord, I thank you that not a single tear I have shed has been in vain. I thank you that the dark turns in my path have led me back to the light. I thank you for allowing me to learn how to wait, how to trust, and how to love again. Without the night, I would never know the value of the dawn. Without loss, I would never cherish what I now have. Today, I do not give thanks for what I receive, but for the fact that you have been with me through every day when I had nothing left. Almighty God, I thank you for the quiet miracles in this small life of mine. I thank you that you do not act according to my will, but according to yours, a will that is better, wiser, and more loving. I thank you that every time I thought I had been abandoned, you were right there. I thank you that your silences have trained me to listen. I thank you that my tears have taught me compassion. I thank you that through every trial, you have not only corrected my path, you have transformed my soul. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so that together we can build a strong and growing community of faith.